And welcome to Divorce and Finance, the voice of the CDFA. I'm your host, Carol Lee Roberts, and I'm the president of the Institute for Divorce Financial Analysts, and invite you to join us on the second Tuesday of each month at 1 o'clock Eastern Time for information and insight from our CDFA professionals. The IDFA was formed in 1993 to help financial professionals assist clients going through divorce to avoid unnecessary financial consequences. As we have expanded over the decades, we've welcomed many different financial professionals to the CDFA designation. And I'm thrilled today to be joined by Stacey Francis. And since we try and keep this podcast to about half an hour, I'm not going to be able to read you all of her accomplishments and awards, but I will give you some of the highlights. She is a certified financial planner, certified divorce financial analyst, certified grief recovery specialist, and certified estate and trust specialist with over 20 years of experience in the financial industry. She's also founder of the nonprofit Savvy Ladies, host of Financially Ever After podcast, and the author of Financial Help for Widows, a complete resource guide, as well as Unveiling the Unspoken Truth, the Financial Challenges Women Face During and After Divorce. Stacey is a nationally recognized financial expert, being one of the 20 of the nation's leading wealth managers on CNBC's Digital Financial Advisor Council. She's also a member of the Forbes Finance Council, an expert contributor to the Wall Street Journal. She's appeared in hundreds of media outlets and has received numerous industry awards, among them Forbes Top Women Wealth Advisors, Investopedia's 100 Top Wealth Advisors, Investment News Top 20 Women to Watch in the U.S., and Financial Planning Magazine's Pro Bono Award. And I'm thrilled to have Stacey joining us today.
Thank you, Carol. I feel I'm blushing.
Okay, and the lavender sets that off nicely. So can you tell our audience why you are focused in divorce and in helping widows? What brought you to this line of work?
Yeah. I think like a lot of the listeners and viewers today, we never really expected to find ourselves as certified divorce financial analysts. That's just not something that you say as a little girl or little boy. That's what I want to do. So we each have our own personal story, and mine comes from watching one of the people I loved most on the face of the planet, my grandmother, find herself trapped in an abusive marriage. And it was abusive from the physical point of view, but we also know that in 95% of physically abusive domestic violence situations, there's also financial abuse. So she was literally financially trapped as well. Growing up, seeing that and, never being able to quote unquote save her, she ended up passing away because of the abuse. And for me, growing up as a little girl, watching that, and then as a young adult, it gave me the passion and, quite frankly, Carol, the anger to, number one, start a beautiful charity in her name called Savvy Ladies, to help women who are financially vulnerable, who have difficulty accessing financial advice, to be able to get it free of charge, but ultimately to educate myself and go into this field.
I've seen you present at a couple of different financial conferences, and I know that you and Francis Financial did a white paper regarding some of the issues women face and some of the questions women have when they're faced with divorce. Did you guys spend a couple of minutes talking about some of those findings?
Yeah, it was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life in this profession. We interviewed over 150 women, and they had over 100 questions to actually answer. And every single one of them, barring one person, completed the full survey, which was phenomenal. And what they shared with us were the things that they felt like they did well, and also the things that they felt like they didn't do so well. And the areas where we saw the most regret or frustration or even shame around is not having as much of a handle and understanding of the family finances going into divorce. And for a lot of the women, and we see that as CDFAs too, it puts them behind the 8 ball. And I truly know that women who know more about their finances throughout the marriage go through the divorce process in a much healthier way and often find themselves in a much stronger financial position. So the number one thing we heard was, I wish that I had really been more involved, because she again goes into the process not having as much information and then feeling like she is having to drink out of a fire hose to catch up, to learn about all of these different assets, learn about the spending, learn about investing and moving forward.
Yeah, it's funny because I think we've all heard the various, survey results about women leave their financial advisor after a divorce or after the loss of their spouse. Men are overly confident in their ability to invest and invest wisely. Women, regardless of their employment status, even some very high earning women tend to leave the financial decisions to the spouse. And I think one of the things we all can do as CDFAs is encourage people, regardless of whether they're happily married or not, just to be aware of their financial situation. I mean, I frequently kid that if I get hit by a bus, my husband's going to have to ask our daughter where we bank and, what money we have
Yeah.
and what money we don't. And I think it's the idea of just trying to make sure everybody is aware of their own finances is important. Can you talk to us a bit about Savvy Ladies and what it does?
Yeah. So I started Savvy Ladies well over 20 years ago. It's a beautiful charity that focuses on helping women who are financially vulnerable, who don't have access to financial education or support or knowledge. And we support them 3 different ways. The first is that we have over 200 courses that are FINRA approved, that are self-paced courses of every financial topic you can imagine, plus also in Spanish. Then we also have live events, and we have women in all 50 states. They are online and we record them. So because we've been doing this for decades, we have literally hundreds and hundreds of TED Talk-like videos on every financial topic you could ever imagine. And the service that I am most proud of, that I also feel is has the most impact, is our helpline. A lot of the people listening actually know about the helpline because they are volunteers. About a third of the women who come to us have questions about separation or divorce. And we have this beautiful helpline where we match them up with a volunteer, CFP, a CDFA, a CPA, whoever that expert is that has identified that that is the topic that is their superpower. They are matched up and they get to work free of charge for 1 hour via a phone call, Zoom, whatever works best for the volunteer and also for the woman who is coming to us. It's really powerful because it works really well to help her to get the answers she needs to that burning question that maybe wasn't answered by one of those 250 courses, or wasn't answered by one of those TED Talk like videos, even if it was, let's say, on divorce. And so it really takes all that information and allows her to say, okay, based on my unique situation, what is your opinion? And we even have for all of our volunteers errors and omissions insurance so that they are protected. And our volunteers will volunteer for maybe 1 hour a month working with one woman. And then we have a few people that are on the way to retirement or retired, where they're working with, no joke, 5 or 6 women a month. And we serve now about 5,000 women each year. So we make 5,000 matches between women who are really in search of financial information and truly in need with volunteers. It's the largest hotline in the country, let alone, again, all of the services are free of charge and we don't income test. This is for anyone who needs support and advice.
And if I remember from talking to somebody on your staff, you've more than doubled the amount of calls you're taking in the last couple of years.
We have. It has grown exponentially. The number of women we serve each month now is what we served just 3 years ago in the entire year. And so it's been a group effort between our volunteers that have really stepped up to the plate. And now we have over 225 volunteers. We're always looking for more so that it's never a heavy lift for anyone. But it's also because we have such a great board, such a great group of reporters and press, and an amazing executive director that has spread the news about the services. Our biggest challenge for Savvy Ladies has been, financial, of just getting that word out. And, we don't have the marketing budget of a JP Morgan. So we've been really blessed that that word has been getting out and women are coming to us.
Speaking of getting the word out, would you like to share the Savvy Women's website, Savvy Ladies
Yeah,
website with
so
us?
it's Savvy Ladies, and there's two V's because it's very, very good. SAVVY, ladies, LADIES.org. Remember, it's .org because it's a nonprofit. And if you're interested either in referring someone or potentially finding out more about what does it look like to be a volunteer, please just go to the website. There's great information. And also just for the volunteers too, especially if you're a newer advisor, we have a fantastic community where we meet also quarterly, all of us volunteers, and we talk about our practices. We have ongoing CE and education, and it's another just wonderful networking area to find other really cool people who are passionate about helping others that are also CDFAs and in this field.
If you are interested in getting a little more information about volunteering for Savvy Ladies, there is a webinar available on the IDFA website, or if you simply email support@institutedfa.com, we'll be happy to put you in touch with Stacy and her team to make sure you are able to volunteer. Let's turn for a minute to those CDFA professionals that might be listening, and perhaps somebody who has just completed their certification exam. What one piece of advice do you have that you wish you knew when you started?
So I started a long time ago. I think I was probably one of the first CDFAs. So it was the early 2000s. I think I got my CDFA in 2003. So I've been practicing in this area for 20 years. And what I found is the first few years of my practice, trying to get cases, it felt like I was lifting a boulder that was twice as heavy as I was up a mountain. And I guess what my words of encouragement would be, don't give up. Continue to network, continue to prove yourself. You may have to actually show some of your work to someone who's interested in hiring you so that they can understand the full extent of the power of divorce financial planning and how it can help them. And that could be that you're showing work to a therapist or a divorce coach or a matrimonial attorney, or to the actual user, the woman who or gentleman who's reaching out to you for this work. But I nearly gave up, Carol Eve, numerous times because it took me so long to get my first case. And it felt like it took me so long to establish myself as a credible expert in this area. Now, 20 years later, I'm getting cases, typically we're working on 30 cases a year. That's a lot. That's a lot. But it took me decades to create that recognition and also that credibility where other professionals would give me the time of day, number one, but also it took me a while to get my word out there to the end user so that now, on top of professionals, I'm also having about half of our clients reach out to us directly because they heard us on a podcast or they saw that we were quoted or we were at a speaking engagement or we had our book and it got in their hands in a certain way. But just don't give up because it will happen. It's like a garden. That first year of harvest is not going to be so great. I grew up and we grew all of our own food in Michigan. So I know this and I lived it. And just having that patience till eventually where we are now, we have more cases than we can actually even take. And I'm going to be speaking with another person right after this, and I'm not even sure we can really take their case. So it's a blessing of plenty, but it has been quite a journey. And just know that it's a journey for everyone. It's not necessarily you get a CDFA, you hang it outside and people flock through the door to you.
I do think that in the last 20 years, and specifically probably in the last 10 years, we've made substantial inroads in having more recognition of the CDFA credential. And within financial industries, I think it's very well known. I still think we have a way to go within the general public. I mean, normally when I'm out and I mention what I do, one of the very first responses I get from people is, I wish they knew there was such a thing when I was going through a divorce. So
Right? Yeah,
still have a ways
very
to go with the
much.
public.
Yeah, and definitely hit it on the head, Carolee. There's been a huge amount of progress, and it makes me so happy for those of you who are more recent CDFAs, because you're going to have an easier time building your practice than those of us who got the designation, let's say, 20 years ago, because there's a lot more recognition and much more awareness about the work that we can do and how powerful it is.
I want to thank you for taking time to meet with us today. And I also want to thank you for all you do for recognition of the CDFA credential and for helping women going through divorce. It's been a pleasure speaking with you as always. And I hope next year you'll come back and you can tell us how Savvy Ladies has continued to grow.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And all of you listening, I feel like this is the best profession you could ever do, and it makes such a difference. So keep on doing it.
Thank you, Stacy.